Everybody there? So anyway, while we're waiting for this to happen. So basically there I am, and I'm in the office, and he likes this. And so he says to everybody, Barry Gibb says to everybody, he says, do you guys have any coffee here? And everybody says, yeah, you want some? He says, no, I want to get it myself if it's okay. And everybody said, okay. And he says, hey, Jan, show me where it is. And what he did was Barry Gibb walked me through the building, the whole building. He wanted to meet everybody, and he wanted me to be the one to introduce them to all the people that worked at RSO. And at that moment in time, I became a superstar at the label, because here I was with the biggest star on the label, walking him through the building and and he made it sound like we were friends. And, it was really great. I mean, it was like really, really wonderful. And then for Christmas that year, I got a gift from him. He sent me a Spirits of Flowing tour jacket and a pair of sneakers that were just a little too small for me. But, that's it. But, so I probably still have the sneakers somewhere because I couldn't wear them. But, I don't know. But that's my story with Barry Gibb. When the days of the RSO records. And that's why I have the picture discs, which usually is sitting behind me right now, but it's not there now. Oh, you see that record behind me? That is the only thing I walked away with from RSO Records. And that is Tragedy, the record Tragedy. It's a platinum record for RSO Records, because it was a tragedy when Robert Stigwood sold to Polygram and the record company closed. And so we were all without jobs. But anyway, welcome everybody to the 114th meeting of the Roundtable, the Mastermind Roundtable. I'm Jan Landy. Remember, everything you hear is an opinion, so do your own research. And thanks for tuning in. We're still in Facebook jail, by the way. So if you're watching us right now, you're watching us on YouTube, LinkedIn, or Twitter. But that's okay, because they're all good places to watch. And welcome, everybody. Does anybody have anything they want to say before we get started with the agenda that I have got for you guys? All right. Crickets. What do we got here? Crickets.
Wish I had something profound to say. There's just nothing today.
Well, okay, let me start with it. Let's start with the biggest story out there right now. And this is something that I learned this week. And that is, I did not know this, but did you know that the first French fries weren't actually cooked in France? They were cooked in Greece. And to this day, they're still cooked in Greece. Unbelievable, French fries. Okay. Okay. No, seriously.
Jail with that one.
Seriously. Mega Millions, man. $1 billion. Tuesday was 810 million. Nobody won. It's over $1 billion. $1 billion. And so this guy named Todd Graves, who is the founder of the fast food restaurant Raising Cane's, at $2, he spent $100,000 and bought 50,000 tickets on Monday, one for each of his 50,000 employees at the chicken chain, with locations in 35 states. And basically what he said is if any of the tickets win the Mega Millions, he's going to split it with all of the employees of Raising Cane. Isn't that nice?
It would have been great had it happened.
Well, it's the drawing's Friday.
No,
that was last Tuesday.
That was
yesterday's.
Oh, that was yesterday.
Yeah.
And he probably did it just because he didn't want to pay the taxes. I probably figured that's why he did it. He split the taxes with all those people, And another big story going on right now is that Walmart is slashing all their prices on clothing and other products. So if you're looking to buy any clothing and you're not a medium or a 36 regular like I am, because you can buy those clothes from me right now. But if you're But no, if you're looking for clothing, now's a great time to buy it. I don't know who shops at Walmart for clothing. It's not one of those places that I really think about. I need a new suit. I'm heading down to Walmart's. But anyway, Walmart's is what happened is a lot of the manufacturers sold to Walmart's and to Target and to Macy's and you name it, to department stores, and they all bought up on the COVID inside inventory where people would wear in their homes and not wear to the office. And now they have an overabundance of that kind of inventory. And so now they've got to sell it. And so they're discounting. Anybody need any clothing? So you know where to go if you want to save some money. And, that's, what can I say? What's next? Okay, so this is something that's pretty interesting. Joni Mitchell went back on stage after being off the stage for what? How many years was she how many years was she off the stage? I think something like 30 years or something like that, 24 years that she hadn't performed. And then Brandi Carlile convinced her to go up on stage at the Newport Jazz Festival in Rhode Island. Anybody see that?
Yeah, I saw the video. It was pretty
cool.
interesting. Yeah, she's sitting in this chair like she's the queen, and her voice is still pretty good.
Yeah, the harmonies were really nice. I thought the harmonies were really, really good. But she looks so old. Old.
Wasn't she on a TV special where she was honored? It was on the same special where Sir Paul played. Fred, do you remember that? That was the one Robert did.
I'm sorry, I was reading a text message. What'd you say?
That TV special with Joni Mitchell and Sir Paul.
I didn't see it.
Oh, okay. All right.
See, you put him on the spot and he didn't see it.
Saw the
His
one.
text message was more important.
No, it wasn't more important. I have a boxing event that I'm going to be working in the middle of August. I just replied and said I was available. Sorry.
Good. Get some work.
Yeah. Yes, exactly. I did see the video of her singing the other day. She looked pretty good. But I didn't see the one that you're talking about with that Robert did. I apologize.
Yeah. Well, I don't know who did see it, but it could have been the what's that building in Washington that the National Archive? It's the huge award that every famous artist will get.
The Lincoln Center?
No,
not the Lincoln Center.
No,
That's
it was
that's
the
New
Rock
York.
and Roll Hall of Fame. It was the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. It was the
Oh,
last
okay.
one.
Well, it's something different.
Yeah.
No, because it's a lifetime achievement from the Washington something or other. Somebody do some research there, and we'll figure it out.
You're talking about the Kennedy Centers?
Yes, the
There
Kennedy
we go,
Centers. There
Kennedy
you go, the
Centers.
Kennedy Centers. Yeah. So I bet she won that as well. Look, she was really a very big influence, on so many artists for so many years, and she was definitely a queen of the industry for a long, long time. Really cool. I mean, I believe she dated Graham Nash for a long time as well. Just a little bit of trivia there. She was friends with all of those guys, George Harrison, but she ended up going with Graham Nash, I believe. If that's the story, I'm sticking to it, So I remember one time she was sewing his pants in the car. I don't remember the outcome of that, but I think that he ended up wearing pants when he left the car. So, here's another interesting thing that happened this week. In case you guys didn't know it, Shark Week turns 34 on Discovery. 34. And if you haven't seen the video it's running around on YouTube right now of what happened this week while they were filming this year's series. So this guy gets into a plexiglass cage in the ocean, right? He's in a plexiglass cage, and this huge 16-foot great white comes up and starts looking at him. And the shark starts to turn around. So he starts banging on the plexiglass wall. Bang, 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 bang. And the shark turns around, and all of a sudden, the shark goes down and goes up underneath and cracks this plexiglass cage. And this guy has to, you got to watch it. I mean, everybody thought this guy was a dead man for sure. It looks like he's going to die in the video, when that shark, just by a miracle, he's still alive today. And then you see him trying to outswim the shark to the boat. Well, I'm not going to tell you what happens after that, but I did tell you he's still alive. Anybody ever watch Shark Week?
I'll
No.
put a link in the chat if it's on YouTube someplace.
Yeah. Don't get. I got the link. Tina will throw the link in the chat. But
She
don't
just
don't get confused with Shark Week and Shark Tank. Big difference. Big difference. Shark Tank, and although I like that show, it's nothing like the killer sharks in the ocean. I had heard a long time ago that if the sharks didn't want man in the water, we would never have been able to build a boat that to get from to use the ocean as a transport vehicle. That the sharks could have actually wiped man off on the water, but I don't think they could do that now. I don't believe they could do that now because of the battleships and the Navy boats that are there, and some of the bigger boats. I think that they're too big for sharks. So I think the sharks lost that battle. They should have done it while they had the chance, and now it's too late for them. That's all there is to it.
Jan, did you see the Colorado governor has started a promotion this week for shark safety, that his state has never had a shark attack?
That's interesting because he's not by the water. Colorado is not on the water. To the best of my knowledge, I'm not really good at geography, but I do know that Colorado is inland.
So he's doing a promotion this week for Shark Week. But they're one of the
That's very
safest
cool.
states.
That's very, very, very cool. Very, very cool. And, speaking of television, Disney now is making a big push to get more subscribers. Disney just decided that they were going to start going with R-rated movies. So the kid-centered approach has worked so far, but the streaming service is now delivering content for all ages to compete with Netflix and other rivals. So Disney is now offering, I don't know if they make any R films. Has anybody ever seen an R-rated film from Disney? I mean, The Little Mermaid could have been, Hansel and Gretel, where they're going to be eaten, that's, it's pretty adult rated theme, I wonder I don't know if Disney did Hansel and Gretel, but I wouldn't put it past them, or, Beauty and the Beast doing a movie on bestiality. I thought that was pretty far out. I thought that should have been rated R, but what do I know? It had a happy ending. The Beast became a man again, and so there you have it, but people don't think that way. I didn't think that way just till now,
And something overtook you.
Yes, when I let myself go, I have to be very, very carefully, very, very, very careful. So to change the subject really quickly and still staying in the entertainment world, did you hear about Tony Dow? That they announced that the New York Times announced his obituary, and it turns out he's still not dead.
He's not dead.
He's not dead yet.
It was on CNN. It was on all the big news services, everything. And he's not dead. He's not in good shape, but we just kind of I guess his wife jumped the gun on this.
No, his management company jumped the gun.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I guess they were trying to put out some sort of the best work of Tony Dow, to get it now while it's still hot, Oh, you know what I heard the other day? Speaking of, not speaking of Tony Dow, but just did you ever hear the expression "dead ringer"? Do you know what it means?
No.
Anybody know what dead ringer is?
It's an Australian band.
That's one thing, you when you see somebody and they look exactly like someone else, they say, "Oh man, that's a dead ringer for you," But it turns out that that expression came from in the old days when people were dead, when they thought they were dead, they would put a mirror under their nose, and if they weren't breathing, they would say, "Hey, they're dead," and then they would bury them. But what they would do in case they were wrong, they would run a string into the coffin with a bell on the top of a tree. And so if the guy actually woke up, he would be able to pull the string, the bell would ring, and that would mean he was a dead ringer. And Neil deGrasse Tyson, I heard that on TikTok. It's got to be true.
It must be. It must be.
I've heard that before.
So anyway, let's see what else is in the news that I'm trying to give you the stories that you wouldn't be following on your own because nobody would. That's about the size of it.
You're doing a good job of that.
So here we go. Here, listen to this one. Hyundai Hyundai, right? If you had a Hyundai and you're still, wait, I'm going to the wrong story right now, but I know it's here somewhere. Hyundai, let me see if I can find that story. Maybe I should come back to that story, but let's go to this story first. So basically the FCC finally caught somebody who's making spam calls, and the calls would start, "We are trying to reach you concerning your car's extended warranty." Has anybody gotten one of those? Not only have I gotten one of those, I've also gotten the faxes as well. But anyway, the FCC is cracking down on the auto warranty robocalls. Thursday's order by the FCC requires voice providers to stop carrying calls. The agency is linked to 13 individuals and 6 companies, mostly based in Texas and California, but they're also as far away as far-flung places as Hungary. They made 8 billion phone calls. That's more than hamburgers that McDonald's has sold. I mean, so that's a lot. That is really, really a lot. Anyway, so if they could do that, why can't they do it with all the calls? I mean, why can't they stop getting people who want to buy my house to stop calling because they don't really want to buy my house? They just want to see if they could steal it. I don't know. Are you guys getting those "I want to buy your house" calls?
No.
Wow, what a sheltered life I'm living. You know, that's it. You know.
I just tell them twice the value.
Yeah.
If they bite, then I'll sell. But if they don't want to pay twice what it's worth, then I'm not selling. They usually don't call back after that.
What's the scam?
So it's the corporate buyers. They're trying to buy up real estate cheap.
So that they can rent it.
Right. It's corporate buyers coming through. So, and where I'm at right now, our value is going up, skyrocketing, because this area has now become for McMansions, little mini mansions on small lots. So they're buying property left and right. But yeah, it's corporate buyers trying to buy property cheap, as Jan says, steal the property. But yeah, I get 6 or 7 letters a week and 4 or 5 phone calls a week.
Wow, that's remarkable.
It is. It's more than remarkable. It's a shame because you got to the point now where you can't answer the phone anymore if you don't recognize the number. If you don't recognize the number, it's like you're playing Russian roulette. You know, what are you trying to sell me today? You just know that it's going to, but every once in a while, it's a legitimate call, and but you have to deal with it. And
I thought you were using the phone blocker. I thought you were.
I was, but when I went to Thailand, I had to give it up. Now that I'm back, I might want to use it, but reality is that I'm using T-Mobile spam blocker right now, but it's nowhere near good as that other service that I was using. And of course, if you think I can remember the name of that other company, Robo Blocker, I think was that
RoboKiller.
That's it. RoboKiller was really good. It was actually really excellent. It did a really good job for a long time. So anyway, but not anymore. They're so sophisticated because the reality is that if let's just say they make 1,000 calls and they get one schnook, it paid for the 1,000 calls. If they can find one person that will send them some money, then they've made their month. And so it really pays for them to keep doing it. And it's unfortunately people like us, we suffer, it's not a good thing. But there's so many, what did they say? There's a sucker born every minute and 2 to take him. So listen to this. So a New Jersey woman was sentenced to 1 year and 1 day in prison for her role in scamming more than $400,000 from GoFundMe donors, claiming to collecting money for a homeless man. And she spent the money on, and the reason I bring this story up is not that she spent it on a BMW, but she went a New Year's trip to Las Vegas, gambling in the casinos. And basically what happened was she met this guy, he was homeless, and she came up with this idea that somehow she met him in a 7-Eleven or whatever. And they came up with this scam that he helped her out and he didn't ask for any money, but he was homeless and blah, blah, blah. And so anyway, she started a GoFundMe thing and she scammed $400,000 from, legitimate people who wanted to help this guy. And it turns out the guy, I believe his name was Bobbitt, he was the one who turned her in. He ended up turning her in for doing that because evidently she wasn't giving him enough money. We saw how much she was raising, and so he ended up going to jail too, but not for as long because he only got 75,000 out of it. So
Wow.
I'm thinking about starting a GoFundMe thing. I just can't figure out what do I need to GoFundMe yet. But as soon as I do, I will let you all know so that you can donate to my GoFundMe program. I hope it's better than my buy the SoundBroker a cup of coffee. Because that, if that's the case, I would have gotten over my caffeine addiction years ago. There's no,
Didn't work out so well, huh?
yeah, or the Jan Landy 2025 retirement fund. That too. If I had to depend on donations from that fund, I'd be working till 2050. So that didn't work either. Unfortunately, Paul Scrivino is no longer with us, so he's no longer working. I love that guy. What a great actor he was in regards. He just cast so perfectly in the Goodfellas, and everybody know who he is, right?
Oh, yeah.
Paulie? Yeah. So anyway, 83 years old. So do the math, do the math if you want to live as long as him, or take away if anybody who's over 83, just take it away. But now there's a new study out, a longer life, meaning scheduling an even more than recommended amount of weekly exercise, according to a new study. Adults should get 150 to 300 minutes of moderate physical activity or 75 to 150 minutes of vigorous physical activity a week, according to the World Health Organization. But people who surpass those levels live longer than those who don't. So that story is breaking right now. It's some sort of, I don't remember the exact medical institution that combined with the World Health Organization, but fortunately we have a link in the chat. So if you really want to know about it, you can click on that link and you will know more about it than you probably want to. I guess there's another good story in the news, a little positive news. And I don't know if you could relate to this because I can't relate to it, because when I was 13 years old, I don't think I could speak in full sentences yet. I wasn't 100% sure that I'm coming from New York. Hey, what do you want? Hey. But a 13-year-old girl has been accepted to medical school after graduating high school, and her name is Elena Wicker, and she shared the news on Instagram with, she has 20,000 followers, and, basically she accredits this success to hard work and dedication. 13 years old. Hard work, and it just doesn't make sense to me. But yet, she's like Doogie Howser. I guess you get Doogie Howser down there in Australia.
No, I don't think I've heard of that one.
I believe he's a kid doctor. Doogie Howser. Am I right about that? Isn't he a kid doctor?
You are
or
right
something
about
like that?
Yeah, he was.
Yeah.
Some of us humans are I don't know if we're given, I think all of us are got different levels of brain processing power, I call it. And some of us just get 10 times more than the average. So anyone that could be a doctor or can process like that has to be born with some level of different processing power. That's what I think anyway. I think that it's a bit like a person that's a great singer at 9 years old, or eventually they can only, I just think that there's humans out there with greater thinking power. Otherwise, the world wouldn't move along, would it? You wouldn't have this. It always makes me interested, when you have a person, say back in the 1800s, during their life, they start focusing on electricity or steam or something. If you go back, what makes a person switch into that? Like what makes a human go down that road? And then they just, and then they start off the the theory of it, and then it gets expanded because you can't have today's technology without yesterday's technology. And I think that, I don't know what anyone else thinks, but I think that some of us have, and I'm not one of them, but some of I'm definitely not one of them. I just think that some of us humans have greater processing power, and it might not be for medical, it might be for electrical, or it might be for science, or, you know, different fields.
Different gifts.
Yeah, different gifts. And so,
everybody has a different, you know, like, I mean, there's certain people that have more aptitude for something. Now, I know in China and in Russia, what they would do is they would test the children very early in life, and then they would assign them those roles that they scored highest on the aptitudes tests. That's why for so many years the Russians had such great athletes, because the, you know, mathematicians, or the Chinese, you know, but we never did that here in America. You know, it's like you have a musical aptitude, and they give you a violin from the time you're a baby, and they just play music for you, and then, you know, then eventually you become a virtuoso in regards to your field. But everybody has a skill set level that they have to develop to a point, and some people develop it more than others. Like, for example, I play guitar, and no matter how well I play the guitar, there are kids that could outplay me by a crazy level. I mean, there are people that you could hum a song to them, and they will be able to play it better than you hear it in your head, you know? And that's a gift that, you know, it basically, I look at it as the universe comes from up here and funnels right through your body, and you actually are just one with the universe in that chosen skill set, you know? And everybody has something that they're good at, and the whole idea is to focus in on that aspect of your life so that you can excel in that one area. You know, some people, like, for example, I'm a good salesman. You know, that was my gift, you know. So I excelled in sales, you know, whereas math is not so good. I'm not so good with math. And you know, thank God I have a calculator, otherwise I would be in big shape. You know, bad shape, you know, but I understand how money works, and I understand, you know, I can count to 10, you know, many times over. So there you go. And, you know, but everybody has a skill set. Like, for example, you know, you're a musician and you play music, and, you know, like you excel in that one area, and that's something you want to do. So but people hit a level, you know, where they can't get above, and then other people do get above it, you know. I mean, I look at, like, Thomas Edison. You know, here is this guy who created a light bulb, and he changed basically everything that we do today in regards to how we think and everything along those lines about technology. Because if it wasn't for the light bulb, we wouldn't have been working into the night. And when they asked him, you know, hey, you failed 10,000 times. How did you keep going after failing 10,000 times? But his answer was, I didn't fail 10,000 times. I learned 10,000 ways that it wouldn't work. And, you know, so, I mean, basically the whole idea of our lives is to focus in on what we do best and try to make money out of it. You know, that's the problem with today, with a lot of the children today. We throw them into school, and they have no clear path of what they're doing, and they're just learning things that they may never use again in their lives, but they have no direction. Whereas the school system is not set up to teach you what your affirmations are. You know, they're there to teach you in generalization about certain knowledge. But if they did, once you found what you liked, and once they found what you can center in on, and then they encouraged you, I think all societies would be better for that.
So, Jan, do you think that us humans back? So, if you went, so do you think today's humans have got greater processing power than, say, 2,000 years ago? Because you look at, like, Egypt and stuff that was just built, and it's unreal. And so they had to do the learning curve. They had to learn how to do that. Like you said, it's all about that doesn't work, so they go it again, and then that doesn't work. It does intrigue me that people focus on one thing, but as a human. I mean, you could even say the same with space travel. They do that and they do that and they do that. And they learn from there that, you know, even a product that we build it like that, but it has an issue and it breaks down every now and again. But going back to the other thing of where, do you think humans over the last 2,000, maybe 4,000 years, I don't know how far back we go in.
Just stick with the number and go with it. Let's just say 100 million years ago.
Well, maybe not that far ago, because I think that maybe we've developed since then. But if you went back, say, 2,000 to 10,000.
But have we developed? That's what I want to know. Have we developed?
That's my question. What do you think that have we, has our brain got greater processing power now or not?
I think that the brain is still maintains the same amount of processing power. I think that we as a society, as humans, have learned certain things and we carry those lessons with us. We were taught those, but I don't think the brain has changed in the amount of processing, not in the last 2,000. I might be wrong though, as I say it. I could very well be wrong, but I don't think that the brain has necessarily changed as we're living up more to the potential of what we.
Yeah, I tend to agree. I don't think that I think that we just have, we learn more, and the people that have got higher processing power learn more. I like look at a computer.
Right. If you look at, anybody here who has kids, you look at those children and what they learn in school and what they can actually process, what they can handle, how they can deal with like the web and, the things that seem to come naturally to them that didn't come naturally to us is because they're in that environment. And those are the things that they're learning in that environment. But I wouldn't say that, my son has a greater capacity than I do. I think he just was lucky enough to be born a little bit further on, just as I was lucky enough to be born a little bit further on than my parents, and so forth and so on.
I think we moved the starting point forward. And middle school kids are doing algebra, which we didn't do until we were in high school. So
exactly.
we accelerate that timeline. We figured out how to crunch when I started learning computer, you had to write basic Word. You had to write the line code for each item. You don't have to do the line codes now anymore. So, we no longer use punch cards.
I can relate to that. I was the first one in my family to be born with opposable thumbs. Up until then, none of my relatives could do that, so it's, I'm way ahead of them. But, I know what you're talking about, like the pyramids or the Sphinx or Stonehenge, for example, another amazing thing that people have designed, the levees down in New Orleans. Steve, have you ever built a levee?
No, I have not built a levee, but I've seen them come down.
It's it's like, but man has done some amazing things. Look at some of those bridges that span the water, like the Golden Gate Bridge, for example. And there's a bridge in China that's like huge, and it's, there's some amazing marvels of architecture that are functional and work. Look at what they've done with, unfortunately, it's not a peaceful machine, but the jet fighters that they have, that they could take off horizontally now, vertically. They don't have to go down a runway. The fact that we've been able to go to space and come back. We've been able to be on other planets and come back. The James Webb Telescope, that's another amazing feat of modern scientific achievement that's beyond off the hook. And think about it like this, just technology or science that has figured out how to cure diseases that normally would kill people. Those things are pretty amazing. But then again, you've got people that also use their brain for no good, where they'll rob a jewelry store, or they will go in and steal, and I really hate that they make this sound glamorous by calling them porch pirates. You know, they're not porch pirates. They're common thieves. You know, that's it. There's no porch pirate. You know, these people are thieves. These are the bad people on this planet that's stealing from their neighbors. You know, they're not porch pirates. When you think
Talking about thieves, did you see Kurt Hare's post?
Yeah, what happened with that? I know he's working right now, but I couldn't understand that fence. What had happened with the fence?
Well, he put the fence up because they broke in and stole his truck. So he fenced the truck area in, and then somebody broke the fence down. Now he doesn't know whether it was broken down by people trying to rob the place or by street racing. In the post that I saw, it's possible that street racers crashed into it and broke it open. But yeah, brand new fence, brand new gate. It's destroyed.
It's unbelievable. At least they didn't steal it. So at least so he's got one thing going for him. You know, it could have been that they tried to steal the fence and then he would have been in trouble. You know. Hey, what happened in Australia, Wayne? I heard that there was a musical festival that sunk into the mud on the first day, and they had to cancel what it was, the Grass Byron Bay Festival. What's the story on that? Our reporter from Australia.
Well, I only saw the news the other day, but apparently, it was wet, but the first day was, I think they cancelled most of the first day. It's I think they didn't have a huge amount of rain, but it's a fairly low area where they put it on, I feel. But it was and then the next day I think they were walking around in water up to some of them were up to their knees, but but where the stage was seemed to be all right. I only saw the footage on the national news, but I think it all got happening, but it messed with the first day. And one of the major acts was on the first day. But I think they were all pretty positive about getting the festival going, staying going. I suppose you would, wouldn't you, when you put that much effort into it? But it was very wet. The pictures looked, it was mud. It was very wet. But
I can relate to it. You know, right now I feel like I'm running in the mud, and the more I run, you know, the slower I get, the deeper and the dirtier I'm becoming. It's a crazy feeling, you know, when you're going through so much at one time, as I'm going through, you know, with selling a house, selling a building, you know, it's a crazy time. It's absolutely a crazy time, you know, and you know, it turns out right now. Listen to this, you know. So first of all, we talked about the house prices. So today, the Feds raised the interest rate by 0.75 percentage point, which is not a lot. However, the banks are going to take that and they're going to run with that. And basically what the whole idea is that right now we have what they're thinking is possibly inflation, which not possibly, it is inflation. We've got a high degree of inflation, so that what they want to do is slow down the economy and get people to stop, because people are spending money like crazy, and they want to get people to stop spending money on things that they don't really need. So they figure by raising the interest rates, that's going to raise people's credit rates, so that if you're paying X % on your credit card, now it's going to be more. I don't see really how that's going to work. I just think that could be a really bad thing for our economy. But nonetheless, that's what's happening. And so the home prices right now are going down, even though there's not a lot of new inventory right now, because the cost of building a new home is too expensive and the materials are not there. And the old homes right now, because of what's happening with the money aspect of it, is that people can't get the loans on the properties that they would normally have bought, 6 months ago. So of course, now the business side is a little bit different, because you can go with an SBA loan, and that really is not being affected as much by the interest rates. There's still a lot of money in the Small Business Association to get really low rated loans. So the business properties now are starting to pick up. Just an FYI, in case you guys had any clue or cared at all about what I'm going through, So anyway, we'll see what happens. But it's all exciting stuff right now. And speaking of exciting, hey, if you like Adele, you are now going to be able to see her at the Coliseum, and she's rescheduled, and she's added 24 new performances. So there you go. If you're an Adele fan and going to Las Vegas, and then Stevie Nicks is going back out on the road. She's got fall tour happening with Vanessa Carlton. And the last thing I wanted to say about what's going on in the world that's really good news about our industry is Lollapalooza is going to Asia. And they're going to be in Mumbai, India. So if you want to plan a vacation next year, January 28th, 29th, if you want to go to Lollapalooza in India, you can go to Mumbai, And so all of those things are happening around us. Anybody else selling anything? Selling a house? Selling, Nobody? For the audio version of this show, you can.
You're the only. You're the only one, Jan.
For the audio version of the show, what you were hearing just then was the heads of about 5 or 10 people shaking it no. Okay, just like if you were deaf right now, there is a new sign language thing going on of somehow the ADA. But do you know anything about that, Brian? What's going on with the hearing impaired?
I'm not familiar with something new or different out there. So the only thing that we saw new this week was guidelines on accessible electric vehicle charging stations. So,
and how does that work?
They just got to, everybody's putting in electric vehicle stations and charging stations, but they're not making them accessible. So so somebody in a wheelchair can't charge their vehicle if they pull into a Tesla station. So
they're going to have to make them lower?
No, they got to give space to get around the vehicle.
Oh, okay.
Because
some tall people should be complaining that now they have to bend down.
No, it's that they're just not taking account for the cables and the path around the car to move around. So, but what'd you hear on the blind? I hadn't heard something. Give me some news.
On what?
About
the tall people? About
no,
the tall
the
people?
blind. You were talking about the blind.
Oh, no, not the blind, the deaf, or the hearing impaired, not the deaf.
Right.
I don't think they call them deaf anymore. I think now they're hearing impaired people. And so what you basically is there's some sort of new sign language out there for people. I know, like something like this. This is like I'm talking to you on the cell phone, but I don't really think that they could, if they can't hear me say I'm talking to you on the cell phone, what good is having a cell phone that they go like this for? I don't know. It doesn't make any sense. So I have no idea.
There's apps that will take the audio on the cell phone and change it into text and then go back and forth. So like closed captioning.
Yeah, but then they would have to look at it through their ear. And so now
it's just a signal. It's just a signal to get onto the phone.
Oh, I see. I thought they have eyes in their ears, and that's why they can't hear very well, because their ears are clogged up with eyes. That's what I thought, but I'm probably wrong.
Time to move on, Jan.
All right. Let's talk about the myth of free checking. All right. How you like that? Because I was, leading into that story. It turns out that free checking, believe it or not, is not free. It is not free. It turns out that banks are charging their consumers with their free checking account. They're making more money now with fees, $8 billion a year with fees from overdraft and stuff like that. So like, in other words, if you write a check that that your bank account can't cash, it turns out that there's a fee for that, like $30-something. And that is really disturbing for those people, because, somebody who's writing a check for $1, they can't afford that. If they're writing a check for $1, there's already something wrong, but what can I say? So anyway, that's it. I haven't written a check for $1, although today I was doing my tax report for the state of Nevada, and it turns out that I owe a penny. I owe a penny from 2016. And so I called them up today because I didn't know that I owed them the penny, and it turns out it's a glitch on their system, and that they can't seem to get rid of it. I really don't owe them a penny, but it's on the system and they can't get rid of it. So I said, well, I don't even know how to write a check for a penny. They said, no, you don't owe us anything, and we don't want to check for a penny, because writing a check for a penny to an organization would cost them like $25 to get that. You get somebody to do that,
Can you mail a penny? Just put a penny in the envelope? I wonder if I'm sure you could do that.
What they said to me is that it's a glitch in their bookkeeping system.
Yeah.
I don't owe them anything, and especially a penny. Otherwise it would be compounded daily, and I would owe them millions and millions of dollars, but it's a glitch in their system. All for that penny,
It
that's
costs
all
you
for that penny.
55 cents to send the pen.
Yeah. No, 60 cents. I was just in the post office today. The price of stamps are now up to 60 something cents. I don't know exactly, is it 60 flat or 64, but whatever, And I bought some forever stamps before it went up, and they're still good. They really are forever. And they're not for the life of you, they are for the life of the stamp. So there you go. It's forever. It's a stamp forever. So anyway, that's all the stories that I had that I wanted to cover. I mean, I do have some emergency stories put away there so that we can cover some other stuff. But the reality is that what else is going on in the world? Who has something that they want to share? Is Greg Baker still in the room? He usually has something that he wants to bring up.
Well, I have a shark story for you.
All right, let's hear it.
I was fishing Saturday and shark on my line, jumping out of the water because he bit the line off, and then I didn't get him. But it was interesting. It was a cool scene just to watch this shark just going out of the water. We were fishing in 2 feet of water, and he was probably about a 4-foot shark.
What kind of shark was it?
I wasn't that close to him. I couldn't tell you.
So another fish story. I like that. Yeah. Is that the one that got away? That's it. That's the one that got away. It was this big.
Also, another fish story. Did you see that whale that went on top of that fishing boat off the East Coast?
Yeah.
The whale went right on the front deck of the boat as he came out of the water.
How big was the boat?
I would say it was probably in the 32 to 36 range. It was a fishing charter boat out there, I believe.
So did the boat sink?
No, he crushed the railing and all on the front end, and the whale just kept going.
Well, it could have been really like a biblical story about Jonah, but I guess not this time around, for those.
Steve, there was one down in your area where the stingray jumped on the back of the boat.
I didn't see that.
The 400-pounder, and the guy was. They couldn't get it off the boat, and they ran into shore and got some people to help, but the nose of the boat was up.
Wow.
And that was a black and white spotted. They said it was a rare one.
Was that something recent?
Pardon?
Did that happen recently?
Yeah, in the last week, down somewhere on the Gulf.
Okay, I was out of town for 2 weeks, and I just got back last week. So,
so tell us about the trip to Alaska.
It was nice. Yeah,
Well, thanks for sharing. All right, who else has something to share?
He's got the slideshow getting ready to start.
Where'd you go in Alaska?
Yeah, I mean, it's a beautiful country. We took the train ride in the Skagway and just nice and relaxed. Sitka was much bigger town. I'd never been to any of those places. We did go to Victoria, Canada, which we had actually been there before. But overall, it was a great trip. Yeah.
What was the highlight of going to Alaska?
The highlight, I didn't get to see the glaciers. I was self-quarantined that day.
So you didn't get to check out the ice worms?
No. I don't know, man, what the highlight was, I guess, because I mean, it was beautiful. We had a balcony, and even just sitting at the dock, just seeing the scenery, and actually we had whales coming up on the side of the boat as we were docked, which was pretty cool. since I missed the glaciers and the whale trip.
Well, there you have it. There you have
Were
it.
you
The
on a- were you
highlight
on a-
sitting at the docks,
Were you on a
sitting on
big
the
boat?
dock of the bay.
Oh yeah, yeah.
So
Ovation.
you weren't able to get close to the glaciers. So when we went, we were on an 80 passenger boat. So we would get within like 100 yards of the glaciers.
Oh
It would
no.
break off and then we'd have to reverse really fast because the wave that would come at us.
Wow.
Were you there during the 4th of July?
No, I was actually working, loading in a show in Portland on the 4th. And we finished up on the 7th. We got on the boat on the 8th.
Okay, yeah. When we went for 3rd or 4th day out. We went, I think that was the beginning of July. And so for the 4th of July fireworks, since there's no darkness, it only gets
Yeah.
dark. The sun only goes down from 11:50 to 12:10. So for 20 minutes, you can't see the sun. So our 4th of July was shooting off expired flares. The captain would have the crew come out and we shot off flares with the little parachutes. You just
Oh,
had a whole
wow.
case of expired ones. So that was our 4th of July fireworks.
Okay.
Still pretty fun.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So who's got a dog?
That's
Or is that
me.
just-
That's Vienna.
Or I'm just hearing things, and I'm
Yeah.
hearing things.
Yeah, she's in the back. I don't know why she's barking, but she's under the blanket on the couch and she's barking.
Well, something must be going on over there, for her just to be barking. Maybe she just wants your attention, or she
Yeah,
wants to be part of the
probably.
show, and that's it.
Yeah.
That's all there is to it. She wants to be part of the show, which is pretty cool. Anyway, so who else has something that they want to share? Anybody, or should we say goodbye to those people that have been watching on Facebook and YouTube? And or Facebook, no, but YouTube, yes. So next week
Has
we'll be
anybody
back on
seen this-
Facebook.
Has anybody seen this show, The Offer? About the making of The Godfather? It's
I heard about it,
incredible.
but I haven't seen it yet. No.
It's incredible. It's on Paramount. It's my wife and we're fascinated with it. It's just
What's
incredible.
the name of it?
The Offer.
The
It's
Offer.
about Phil Rudy, who was the producer, and what he goes through in order to make the Godfather movie.
Well, I happen to have Paramount Plus. By the way, if you have T-Mobile, they give it to you for free for 1 year, as well as the Automobile Club and Netflix. So T-Mobile is pretty good, and especially if you travel out of the country, boy, T-Mobile is amazing. But Brian, what's the story on your T-Mobile modem? Did that ever get fixed, or is that still not the call?
I've heard people that have good luck with it. Just where I was at, I was on the borderline of cell service. So about a month and a half after I got that, Google came through. So I hooked up to Google Fiber.
Well, it's Google is pretty good. I mean, Google is offering a new service called Google Fi. I guess that's what it is for your cell phone as well. I believe that so you can make phone calls. I haven't really looked into it because I have to be careful of what I do because I'm traveling internationally, so I can't really take a chance on something like that. We're switching our phone service over to Zoom. It looks like Zoom it has a good program, but all of my hardwired phones right now are Cisco, and they're compatible with my existing company, which is called Nextiva. But the savings on on Zoom phone is amazing. It's $20 a line per month, per year. I think that's what it is. Yeah. Whereas I am paying a lot more, and I have to so I'm paying, about $150 a month, and I'm going to be able to cut my phone bill with all of the services, and even then some more services by going to Zoom phone for $40. It's pretty impressive. I don't really like
That's
their
great.
interface that much as far as on the phone, because you have to go through the Zoom app to get to it. But on the computer, it's quite good. Tina, have you been playing with it as well?
Yes, I enjoy it. It's worked well.
There you go. And so, the voice of authority has just told us that it is working well. So thank you, Tina, for letting us know that. But no, I've been experimenting with it as well, and it's pretty good. And the clarity is good, but I've been having trouble with my headset when I use Zoom phone. It just seems that these earpods don't for some reason. Tina read an article of what the problem was, and so I haven't tried it since. But one of the best parts about the Zoom phone is you can start a call from your computer and then transfer it to your cell phone. And if you're talking to somebody with a Zoom account, you can then switch to a Zoom meeting as well. So it's there's a lot of benefits. It has an auto attendant. I'm not working for them right now, so I'm not, and they're not paying. This is not a paid political announcement by any stretch of the imagination, but it's what we call a time filler in the trade. Anyway, we're getting to the time where we've been on almost an hour. I don't know how we've able to do it. It's been a miracle that you guys have been, you have, when we were talking about this earlier about your aptitude to be to do something and to excel at it. One of the things we all seem to excel at in this meeting is we are able to talk. And that's a good thing, it's a good thing, because it makes the audio version of the show a lot more exciting than not, So with that in mind,
how did you manage to get into Facebook jail?
What happened?
Basically 2 years ago, when my good friend Donald Trump was promoting people to gargle with Clorox, somebody sent me a poster that I sent out, and because it's such bad information, that Facebook took that as says you're passing incorrect information, and they didn't look at it whether it was from me or someone else. They just said that's bad information. You shouldn't gargle with Clorox. And my caption was, I never agreed with Donald Trump on anything, but this is the first time I think all his followers should take his advice. And with that, 2 years later, Facebook jail.
Wow.
So now I realize I got to go back in time and delete every one of my posts about Donald Trump, because I'm sure every one of them will get me into trouble. Have you guys been following the hearings at all? Not to get political, but it's really making good TV. It's really
sure are.
They basically hired a TV producer, and they have made it entertaining.
This guy is just. Let's just stop there.
Well, let's put it there. The challenge is he still has a lot of people that are supporting him. And I just read today, and I don't quite understand it. Forget about politics. We're not talking about, we're not going to get into the politics of it all. But what he's doing right now is he's floating the idea that he's running for president of the United States. And what it's doing is that people are donating money to him instead of to the Republican Party. And what's happening is, just like everything else he's ever done, he's keeping it all for himself and he's not sharing. And so now the money for the Republican Party and the Republican candidates are shrinking because it's all going to him.
It's all going to him, and he's keeping it.
And he's keeping it. So that's not a political story. That's a fact. And I don't really care. But, but the reality is that it just shows the kind of man he is, and you would think that people wouldn't be supporting him when he's not giving them any money and he's taking all their money, but yet they're still supporting him. This guy is amazing. It's, he was right when he said he can shoot somebody on Fifth Avenue and not lose a vote and not get away with it. And believe me when I tell you, I think he's right now. I would not. I'm not gonna bet against him. That's for sure. I would not bet against that man. He is the Teflon Don for sure. And but that's not political. That's just facts that we're talking about right now. Whether you agree with his positions or not, this guy has gotten away with a lot of stuff that the average human being could not get away with. So
Remarkable.
So when are you officially out of jail?
4 more days. So next week we'll be back. And but I've got a post right now on Facebook. If you're watching this, well, you can't be watching this on Facebook, but you could be watching it on YouTube. But I posted the link to the YouTube video on Facebook because I could still do that. The Facebook jail only prevents me from streaming live and buying advertising. So I never buy advertising, so that's no big deal, but I do stream live on Facebook. So next week we'll be back on Facebook for those people who are diehard Facebook fans and want to watch us on Facebook. Like my girlfriend, for example, Bo will be able to watch me again. I don't know if she's watching on YouTube right now. We're also on LinkedIn as well, but we don't have a big following on LinkedIn. And basically all the action takes place in this room before we go live and after we go live. So if you want to be part of that action, then you should send me a DM or anyone in this room, and we'll get you an invitation to be on the panel. That's all I can say. Anyway, remember, everything you heard is an opinion, and if anybody has anything else to say, now would be the time.
There'd be more peace in the world and active electrons, musical active electrons.
Now, for those people who are watching, you'll understand what I'm saying. For those people who are listening, this might not make any sense. But Brian, did you buy stock in the 3M Post-it note company?
No, that's, I thought I had my screensaver up. I'm trying to do some strategizing. So it's a thinking board.
It's a thinking board with many colors of 3M Post-it notes for those people who are listening. So, but it looks like he bought stock in the company. That's all I can say. So thank you very much for sharing, everybody. This is the last time I'm going to ask, does anybody have anything that they want to say? The sound of one hand clapping. Very good. Ladies and gentlemen and children of all ages, thanks for listening. Just remember, you make it happen. We'll be back again for 115th episode of the Mastermind Roundtable. And you are invited, and invite anyone you know, because we will be here. If it is Wednesday at 5 o'clock, then the Mastermind Roundtable will be taking place. So with that in mind, and all of our friends that are working and listening in later, thanks for supporting us for all these shows. And like I said, you make it happen. Stay safe, stay healthy, and we'll see you again next week. Bye-bye now.